up right now, and we are on live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. I wanted to clarify again, because we don't do this every week, that the Smarties are not just these three people right now in the Smarties green room, and it's not even inclusive of just the people that we have on the show as guests, but it's everyone who seeks a better answer. So if you're watching the show, and if you're wherever you are, you're coming to see the Smarties, thank you for coming, because you, in my opinion, are a Smartie, because you're a seeker, and this, if you seek, ye shall find. Good morning. My name is Roland from R&D Hotline and the sponsor of the show, and we have two other hosts that have been with me going on a year or more. And first of all is Molly Youngblood Geiger, and we call her the Google Lady. And say hi, Molly, and tell us who you are.
Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Geiger. I'm located in Jacksonville, Florida. The name of my agency is Design Right For You, and I participate with Google on several different platforms. I'm a Google Partners Community Ambassador. I'm also a rising star in the Google Partners community, and I'm also a Google Small Business Community Advisor, and also a Hangout rising star.
Thank you, Molly. And also with us is Karen V. Chin, who I call my favorite San Francisco marketer. And she comes to us from San Francisco and is as a marketing specialist. She's got an actual degree in this field, and I'll let her tell a little bit about herself. Go ahead, Karen.
Oh, jeez. Hi, everyone. I hate to talk about myself. I'm, again, Karen Chin. I'm out here in San Francisco. I'm a marketing consultant and a social media engager. Yes, I have multiple degrees. I do have an MBA in marketing, and I do have a certificate in social media and AdWords, and now working for Google, trying to get a Google Analytics certification. So I am kind of in the study mode at this moment to increase my knowledge and to increase my digital marketing knowledge, especially.
Thank you. And the reason I have you two on the show is I'm a self-taught internet marketer who doesn't have a degree in anything except for the hard knocks life. So here I am running this show, and maybe that's my claim to fame, whatever. But we approached a lot of subjects already this year. And oftentimes when we have a conversation that goes on past the hour, and we're in the green room for another hour talking about things. And I made a lot of notes, and I think that we've probably come up with 3 or 4 or 5 concepts for shows in the future of what we would like to discuss. And being an educational broadcast, there are a couple of different aspects to the show. We like to share our knowledge. But the second thing is we like to learn things, because this is an ongoing thing. And if we were sitting here saying, oh, we were the know-it-all authorities and we're going to tell you like it is, you better listen to us, we would be so full of the type of BS that we're trying to sort that we would be curating ourselves for honesty. So let's step outside of the box for a bit and assume, no, we don't know it all, but we are really looking at the hardcore concepts that will influence the marketing industry this year and in the past to analyze, and in the future to project what are the things that are good decisions that are going to stick with us and make some sense and benefit us now and in the near future. We're saying hello to Carlos Savio, might be the first live one that came. Oh, there's Barbara Quick, and we'll see who else shows up. But thank you very much for showing up, and I appreciate you coming to the Smarties show today. So that's the lineup on the outside there. But as I said, you're all Smarties for showing up, and thank you very much, because we wouldn't have a show if you guys weren't showing up. So here's the question I have for my in the green room Smarties today, and for anyone else who would like to comment. By the way, I thank you all for showing up. I know we have often a global audience, and it really surprises me when people from the other side of the globe actually show up at my 11 o'clock in the morning, and there, whatever time it is there, to watch this show live. It just blows my mind. So thank you very much Whatever time you take, thank you. But the issues for today. Last week we had a conversation, and Karen Chin coined this phrase, as far as I'm concerned, because I had never heard it. Okay, me, the guy that's all over the internet doing all these things, I had never heard this. We're saying hi to Kathy Pop. How you doing? And welcome to the show. I think that she's there. My comment tracker says that she is. So anyway, the conversation was going along, and we were having our discussion, and then Karen said this thing that just kind of grabbed me, and she said, websites, blah 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 blah. She goes, passing or passing the Google Sniff test, and I thought, ding! It's like, wow, that's a great phrase. And you know how people are. It's like, wow, that's a great phrase. That's a great title of a book. Now I gotta think of something to write for the book. Well, this is one where the book is already written. The Google Sniff test, the statement itself, basically explains itself. I mean, if we are sniffing around for the BS on the internet, and Google doesn't like to show what you've got to show, then you did not pass the Google Sniff test. Simple as that. So my question is, all these people reaching out for, give me some SEO, give me some AdWords, get me on page 1 of Google, get me there, get me there, get me there, and not concerned about the quality of product or service that they're offering, I think is the #1 mistake to start with, and think that you've got something to sell that's not going to sell on the internet anyway, or not to sell the way you're promoting it, and you want to be on page 1 of Google. So therein lies the quandary for businesses today. So the first thing is this: talking about your web presence and stuff is not the first thing. We will assume that having a good product and a good service and being willing to support it with good backup and support are the primary thing. Because if you're not willing to do that, why are you advertising to promote on the internet? I mean, it's as simple as that, I think, and I really believe that. Now, if you take the next stage up, are we in agreement, my peeps in the green room, that a website in most cases is still the best place to start?
I would say yes to that. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have a website if you're a startup, or maybe you're just now starting off, but I definitely would recommend you get your Google My Business listing, go ahead and claim that, and start using social media to market yourselves. I understand some startups are on a budget and they may not have a lot of money to go out and plunk money for a website. But I would say try to build yourself on social media, Google My Business, Google Plus. Start posting about your business, who you are, what you do, and then when you start getting customers from social media, take that money and reinvest it into your business by getting a website.
Okay, and me being the web designer that I am and the internet marketer that I am, I always preach the tripod. Okay, the website, the Google Plus social media start, and the YouTube thing. And the reason that I preach those three is that they lock together and become a formidable force. And the reason that they do is when you take out a Google account and then you build your profile and then you build a Google My Business page, they ask you to verify your website and connect it to your Google presence. And also this happens when you do YouTube for videos. They ask you to associate your Google account and your channel to your website again. So that locks the three things together and forms a tripod of substantial foundation that will stand for your business. So it's a place to start, and that's why we do that. So go ahead, Molly, you had a quick comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that if you are a small business and you don't have a lot of startup money, that you also, two things you can do that will actually help get you seen online via search engine optimization without a website would be to post on Google Plus and make sure and use keywords relevant to what it is you're selling, your product, your service within the title of that, because Google indexes those. And so if somebody goes and they type for that product or service in your area and you've done a post on Google Plus, not only will it index that post, but it will actually show your avatar, meaning your picture will show up and will give you a little bit preferential treatment versus organic results, which do not show a picture. And then the other thing would be to make use of YouTube. And it doesn't have to be a big production. It could be a 30-second or 60 or 120-second video. Explain maybe what product that you're selling or what service you're selling, or maybe just introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you do. And again, make sure and use relevant keywords within that title, because Google indexes YouTube titles as well. So if somebody's searching for a product or service and you have used those keywords within that title, then you have another opportunity for people to find you via your YouTube video, even if you don't have a website.
Absolutely. This is great stuff. Karen, did you have something to add? I see your mic's muting is not on, so I know you have something to say.
Yeah, actually I do. I was also thinking too that to me the website is really important, because the idea is that people are always asking you, do you have a website? Do you have a website? And even if you don't have a whole lot of money, just having, I know you like that, having just even a skeleton of a website, plus also I think having a blog with that website will also show your expertise and your and also try to get an audience to follow you with having that blog, I think is key. And the blog could be back to what both you and Molly were saying. It could be a vlog. It could be a YouTube. You don't have to necessarily write, because if you're not a great writer, you can at least you can videotape. And you can videotape using either your phone or a digital camera. It's not like you have to spend a whole lot of money to get that, but even from your desktop, you can actually do your vlog. So you have all these resources that you can use.
Or you could actually have a hangout on air and do that every week, like we've done here. So yes.
That's true. I mean, you can also do as what we do is basically you could maybe whether it's a Hangout or Blab or Periscope or whatever form you want to use for live stream communications, you could easily do that, and you can say, hey, Q&A for tree cutting, and have it every week, and you can build an audience that way. So there's just all these resources now that you can actually have that even 10, 15 years ago as a startup, you would have to pay, and all of this is basically a touch of a button on with your keyboard.
Absolutely. So let's put again, I'm one of my favorite expressions, let's put some flesh and blood on the bones. And even for my case, I love to write. I love to write. I was in LinkedIn typing out 1,000-word essays once a week for a while, and I was getting some feedback. People were reading these articles and going, oh man, yeah, it's making sense. I like what you said here. And it was resonating with the chosen few. I'm not well liked across the board because I contradict what so many people believe about internet marketing today. But I can live with that, but I've got to speak my voice, what I feel, right? So I was blogging and doing that every week, and then I discovered, wow, it's so much easier to do a 1-hour show and not have to type left-handed that, it's like hands down, so to speak, this is a better way to go. And furthermore, if someone reads my article in the blog and then someone watches a 1-hour show, they're going to read the article a lot quicker. But when they get through with the show, they're going to know a lot more about me and my personality and you in the green room than if they read that article. So the blog's got some value and it is important, but the video works better. So I chose video because it was the #1 influential thing that I could do on the internet today. So enough of a jam on video. And we're saying hi to Lon McClure, and we're also saying hi to Wiwikananda Bendo Rao. I've never actually heard how I'm supposed to pronounce your name, so I'm taking a wild stab at it. Thank you very much for showing up, Lon and Viv and Carlo, and I appreciate you guys showing up. Thank you very much. And whatever comments you have relative to the subjects, I appreciate those too, and I'll get back to everybody when you've made a comment, or we'll bring you live into the comment stream and show what's going on. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, so back to your statement about the video and not typing 1,000 words a week. I think, yeah, having the video basically shows your personality. And I think also too, when you think about, especially with a lot of the YouTubers that are really famous now, who make millions of dollars, and you feel that you are interacting with them on a weekly basis, and they are actually wanting your content. They actually want to see you and hear you and talk about things that interest them, or that you have a suggestion to purchase. And to me, that's pretty powerful.
Yes, and I feel that when you are on video, people get a higher sense of who you are and feel like, as you said, they know you. And it's much more personalized. And if you're a jerk, you really can't hide that on video. So, that kind of clarifies that. Go ahead, Molly.
Yeah, I was going to actually add to what you and Karen were talking about with video marketing, is the engagement factor that you get out of a live hangout on air, or even just having a video on YouTube, because you have that interaction where people can either subscribe to your channel, they can leave a comment, they can interact with you via Hangout, like you just invited people to post comments to the event page. We can take those questions live. So I think the engagement factor of video is something else to consider when a business is trying to market themselves, because when you can make somebody who could potentially just be a lead and convince them, hey, I trust this person, I know I can talk to them, I can ask them a question, I can comment, I can maybe give them some advice on how they can improve things, that creates trust. And when you're able to create trust with somebody, when they have a need for that product or service, then they're going to remember you and then come back to you when they're ready to buy.
Yes, and I would like to maybe put a capper on this whole concept of video, because I'm going to ask a very critical couple of questions in a minute here. But when you're in a live hangout, there's no chance to like preview what do you want to say. You're on the spot, live here and now. So if someone comes up in the audience and says, well, what about blah? And you go, ooh, blah. I can't really ignore the fact that they put that in the comment stream, otherwise I'm going to be a total idiot, or come off like I was avoiding the question or the subject or something. And so you address it. And if you're willing to address it live, that's way more authentic than anything that you're going to put in a commercialized video. Commercialized video is great, and I've been making them every day lately. But when it comes to the live hangout, this is the real you. This is the way you're going to respond. This is the way you're going to talk to your clients. So if that's what they're seeing, they're either going to like you or they're going to go away. The bottom line. So video is very, very important there. Karen, I see you
Yeah.
squirming.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I think the style of video, I mean, even with the way marketing has done, I mean, I've been a marketer for 20 years now, and it's changed so much with YouTube, where it doesn't feel real now if you don't have like the elephant behind Roland's shoulder. It doesn't. I mean, because if it's highly stylized and it looks like it doesn't look real, then you feel that it's not a real environment. But if it's like the back of like my CDs in the back, and you feel like you're at someone's home or someone's office or someone's workplace, you feel that there's a connection that you can't get. And also too, with the comments that you get and engagement, a lot of great ideas that you may not even think about may come from your audience that you can build on, and actually may take a different direction on your business that you didn't even think about, but just based on customer or feedback, you get a huge kind of outlook in something that you may not even think about or even thought about, and thought, wow, maybe that is what my new direction should be.
Absolutely, and I'm yeah, as usual. I'm watching the stream and also concentrating on how the conversation in the green room is going. But I wanted to say hi to Melanie Hall, who has joined us on the outside there, and I'm glad to have you in. So anyway, thank you very much, Melanie. Nice having you here. And she goes, I can't believe it. She's here live. I can't believe it. I know when I'm able to catch your show, I feel the same way. Same way. I watch so much of the time in replay. So anyway, here's my question then. Passing the Google Sniff test. there are certain things, and we're just going to talk about websites for a few minutes here. If you've got a website and you want to pass the sniff test, there are a few things you have to have. Now, I mean, my checklist would be about 30 or 40 things. I mean, building the website, yes. I use WordPress, yes. I would like to have a blog, yes. It's going to have a CTA of some kind, yes. It's going to try to be responsive and mobile friendly. By the way, a real quick question, and I don't want to go off on a big long thing, but how is responsive the only way, you guys, or is there a different kind of website that is non-responsive that is acceptable? Real quick.
There's actually two different types. There's two different platforms right now. The most recent is AMP, which is accelerated mobile pages. We talked about that last week. And then there's material design. Both are different programming languages that Google has recently come out with in the last 6 months, designated just for mobile. So it's one of those things that if you're focused primarily on mobile, which a lot of people are because that's where everything's going, then I would definitely check out the AMP HTML platform and material design. They are both open source, so they are free, and just takes a developer to get in there and get the coding, configure it, and build on it.
Okay, and of course the whole point of the two of those is they are present, new, very, very new alternatives to HTML or HTML5 and CSS type of development, or WordPress, and which is HTML5 and CSS. And so if you want to look into either of the other alternatives, do it very carefully because they're brand new. We don't know what the experimentation is, whether it's going to work or not, and they're new. So like, okay, as anything new, they may or may not be around next year. So you just got to keep that in mind. Now the question is, relative to websites, how to pass the Google Sniff test. I came up with a few things that I feel that websites have to have, and as I said, there are 30 or more things that are basic. You can get into hundreds, literally, if you get into the web design itself. But when it comes to the superficial view of what you want when you have someone design your website, or whether you're designing your own self, I came up with 5 that I thought were really critical, and then of course you guys can add some stuff that you think are things that people should not miss. But let's start with this. A website should contain the name of your business, your domain, your address if applicable, and all in text in your website. You should have all the listing of who you are in the very basic sense in text, not an image and not a big logo thing, but actually in text somewhere on your homepage. So the second thing, and jump in if you really have to tag these things that I'm mentioning. The second thing is that if you're going to list your phone number in your website, it should be a click to call implementation. It shouldn't just be a phone number listed so you rely on people to call you. They will if they want to, and the phone number will be there, but the option is if they are on mobile, which half the time they are, depending upon your business, it'll be way more beneficial if you have a click to call. The people hit the number and then click call, and they're actually calling you with 2 clicks. So that's click to call. If you have a phone number in your website, click to call. You have to have, this is the third thing I thought of, you have to have a CTA for either a freebie or an invitation to get more information or something. So a CTA or a call to action is imminent. It has to be somewhere, some kind of a call to action, even an invitation to call you or talk to you or whatever. If you're not giving away a freebie, it's got to be an open type of connection where, like, hey, if you like what you see on this page, here's how to get in touch with me. You have to have some kind of an invitation. So a CTA is completely important. Okay, another thing that I found, and it's becoming more and more popular, and I don't know why, I've been talking about it for 2 years, a video in your home page. A video in your home page, some kind of an invitation or a welcome to my website video, or something of value that people are going to watch. And that's, preferably a YouTube video. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's still the #1 resource and the most valuable for your SEO, etc. So a video is really important. And then I couldn't decide between my fifth and sixth, so I'm going to have 6 instead of 5 ideas here. But the fifth is active social media. When I say active integrated social media, I don't mean just a link to your stuff, but a reason to promote your stuff, so to share your things. You have to have valuable content or people are not going to share you. So when you do have valuable content, give the people an opportunity to share you. So there's a system to that, and you have share buttons and stuff like that, and also follow buttons. In my point of view, the follow button is not as important as the share button. What do you guys think? And I wouldn't mind taking a couple minutes on this one.
I think it's important to have both. I think it's important because you want people to be able to share your content, but at the same time you want people to be able to follow you. So I know one of the practices that I've implemented for my clients is I include a follow social media bar and then a sharing social media bar. That way if somebody's on the client's website, they find the service or product or something that they want to share with their network, they can. But at the same time, if they want to follow that brand, then that gives them an opportunity to follow them as well. And just to add to what you were talking about, active social media marketing, active social media marketing is not just having a Facebook page or Google+. It means going out there every day and finding interesting content and posting it regularly every day. And people are like, well, that's nice. I don't have 4 hours a day to spend doing that. That's where we get into social media automation. And I'm not going to go into that because that's probably a whole nother hangout, but that might be something to talk about in the near future.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, one of the thoughts that I have is the more you use automation, the less you invite engagement. And, it's like, because it's got two sides. When you automate, you tend to think to yourself, I can set and forget. I can eliminate 80% of what I'm doing busy work-wise, and then just wash my hands of it and be done. And the thing about social engagement is like you put something out there, people respond, you respond to the response, and then they come back and thank you for the response, responding to the response, and response. You create a relationship. How about that? My God, we've been speaking for a year about engagement and relationships. And this is the goal that you are mining for. You want to dig in for the relationship that becomes two ways and reciprocal. So Melanie Hall has a comment about automation. With my automation, she says, people probably think I spend 23 hours on social media platforms. Yeah, and I believe it, but if you're careful, you don't have to spend that much time. However, you do have to respond. When people respond to you, that day, sometime during that day or the next day in the morning, you have to give them a response and let them know you're reading their stuff. If they're taking the time to post to you, even if it's a thank you for doing that article, you get back to them and say, hey, I appreciate the fact that you read it and thank you very much for being here, blah. And it's got to be something reciprocal. And that's the idea of building relationships in social media. The last thing that I wanted to add to the websites, because I couldn't keep it to 5, I had to go to 6, is you have to feature testimonials. Because if the people are looking at your website and they don't see the fact that other people are talking about you, they're certainly not going to include you in the conversation to someone else. If you're not worth talking about, then the evidence is the fact that nobody's talking about you. And that kind of evidence is very much a red flag. And so that's why testimonials. You had something to add, Karen, and then Molly?
Yeah, actually, I was going to say was there was an interesting article that I will include in the comment thread after I finish. But they're saying that this year it's not about testimonials, Roland. It's about reviews, which I'm a firm believer because I'm a Google local guide, and reviews are what it is, not necessarily a testimonial, because people don't necessarily believe in a testimonial, meaning that quote and then a line and then someone's name. But it actually, if you include either any of the review sites, whether it's local guides or Yelp or what have you, people feel that it's a third party. It's not, it's not biased. It's good or bad. It's there, and that they feel more inclined to believe in your reviews than quote unquote a testimonial. The other thing I was going to say too is that millennials in general expect now that when you put something on social media and are complaining or making a comment as in something positive, if they don't get feedback within, I think now literally in a couple hours, they get really testy because they believe that, again, like social media, it should be instant and there should be someone on the other end responding. So that's kind of my thing now, where I actually get really impatient now that if I don't even get response back, I'm just kind of pacing and going, okay, this is maybe a place that I don't necessarily want to do business with.
I hear you. And just taking a moment to pause and say hello to Lolan Fulsang and Stellian Mezin, who both joined us in the last few minutes. And thank you very much for coming on. And we'll welcome your comments and so forth. And just to mention too, you people make a lot of great comments in the stream. I don't always catch them, so it's not because I'm purposely avoiding what you're saying or miss it, but I do miss it. So just to let you know, we'll get back to all the comments in the stream if they're pertinent, and they might even lead to conversations that incite future episodes of the Smarties. So you never know. And thank you very much for joining us, and I appreciate it. In the meantime, we had the few things that I mentioned that were pertinent. What would you say that, because I missed things purposely, I know that there's a lot more that I would have made a bigger list, but what would you like to add as far as the must-haves or should-dos when it comes to a website? Anybody, Molly?
Yeah, before we get into the website, I just wanted to make one final comment about the social media and the engagement and what Karen was referencing about engaging with somebody and trying to rectify maybe an issue they had, is to engage with them, but then not only to just end the conversation there, but invite them to your community, create a community for your business. And then whenever you're engaging with people, thanking them for liking something or sharing something, or if you're trying to fix a situation where maybe somebody's not happy, that's another way you can actually draw that person into really engaging with them, because when you invite them into a community type scenario, you have another source of communication with that person where you can send out different posts, reminders, that type of thing, to where you actually involve them with your brand and with your business. So that's my final thought on that. But I wanted to also mention, in terms of the website, you had mentioned earlier about including your phone number and address and that type of information. One thing I actually recommend for that small businesses do is they create a page where they include just that information for search engines, meaning they include their business name, phone number, address, if they have a fax number, maybe even some interesting content, some facts about the business, and not necessarily advertise that page. I mean, it's a page on your server, your web host, but it's not actually a page within your website for a person to find. You're more or less building the page for a search engine to find, because if you build that page for a search engine where the search engine can learn everything about that business, that will actually help with your local search engine optimization. So that would be one thing I would add about website design, is make sure you optimize your website for search, meaning create a page for a search engine and include relevant keywords. We're going back to keywords again. Make sure you're following best practices when in terms of your alt tags. Make sure your alt tags are optimized. Make sure your headings are optimized. Make sure you're using video. So these are different things that I would recommend in addition to just having a website.
So in clarification, how viable is it to use your About page and your contact page for for the various thing that you just described?
Well, the about page and contact page would be for your audience, meaning the actual people who are on your website who are trying to reference that information. But even though you have a page for contact and about, you would want to create a page, kind of like an invisible page, meaning not a page that's a person's going to see, but a page that a search engine's going to see. Meaning you've got all that relevant content in one spot instead of it having to go, well, I have to go to the about page to learn about the business, I have to go to the contact page to get their contact information. If you have one single page where they can reference all, or the search engine can reference all that information, it's going to help with the indexing of that information.
Okay, so what would you title the page if it wasn't the contact page? Because I always assumed that you could put all that information on the contact page. So
you can put it on the contact page, but the thing is we want to optimize the website for search, and so the way we do that, and if you would want to give it a title, I would give it the business title. I would just name it the name of the business, so that way when the search engine reads that page, it goes, okay, this is a page about R&D hotline. Okay, here's his phone number, here's his address, here's his fax number, here's what services. That's something else you would want to put on the page for the search engine. You know, what services do you offer? Anything pertinent or relevant to the business. If you're offering any type of discounts or promotions or anything that is about the business, you would want to put on this one page for a search engine. So whenever it indexes the website, instead of it having to go to multiple locations on a website to reference and index all the information, if you have it in one nice, neat package or page for it to reference, it's going to help the search engine learn more about the business quickly.
So I've definitely learned something new today. Thank you. Because I've always put that on the contact page and the about page and figured that was good enough. But now you're saying you can make it one step better by naming the page the title of your business and making it that much more specific about the business, and not so much about how we want to convince people to buy us. So anyway, wanted to in the comment stream, the one thing that caught me was Melanie Hall's statement there. She goes, "We are the interrupters," and so it's true, Melanie. But the idea is we're trying to interrupt in the sweetest way possible, right? With the most tempting tidbit that it gets people to say, "Oh, this looks interesting." So although we're interrupting, we are also trying to offer and be enticing to people and offer like good value and information and education and things that make people want to click on us. So we're not just interrupting like their train of thought, but we're suggesting maybe you want to come think about us for a while. And so that's the interruption going on. Go ahead, Karen.
I was going to say, actually, Melanie, you might want to pull this up too, Roland, because you know my comment tracker never works now. She also had a comment for Molly on the creating of this page that you were talking about. Whether I think her comment was, so you just don't put that page on the website menu.
Right, that's exactly it. Meaning you create the page just like you create any other page on a website, but you don't advertise the page because the page is built for a search engine. So you don't necessarily, I mean, you could advertise a page if you wanted to, but best practices would be just to name the page, the name of your business, and then include all that relevant information and have it on your server, have it on your root directory so that when search engine indexes your website, it finds the page, but not necessarily have it out for the general public to see the page.
And then Luann also said, I think this is kind of, this is definitely old school. She's saying, well, is it similar to a press kit page, you know, a press release, you know, your PR page?
Well, I guess you could look at it like a PR page, but it would be a PR page for a search engine. And see, this is where, as a business owner, you really have to kind of think outside the box in terms of your website, because your website is on a search engine, okay? So if it's on a search engine, we have to optimize it for that search engine so it knows that the website is there. And then what happens is once the search engine knows the website is there, then that's when you start getting traffic to it. That's why everybody's all caught up with, I've got to be on page 1 of Google, you know, I've got to have, you know, this instant visibility, which, you know, I tell people all the time, if you're a brand new business and you've got to be instantly on page 1, Google AdWords, it's a paid advertising platform, but it is something that will get you that immediate exposure. I tell people all the time, when you try search engine optimization, it is a long-term strategy to get your website seen. And I would even say social media marketing. It's a long-term strategy. It took me 2 or 3 years before I actually started seeing people, recommending me, getting business. In fact, just in the last month, I've gotten over 100 websites from 3 different clients in just the last month, and it was all through social media marketing. And it was something one of the guys I'd interacted with, I think it was 6 years ago, and he turns out he's retiring, and instead of just telling his clients, well, thanks, it's been a nice fun ride and having good luck, he actually contacted me. He's like, hey, I remember you from Facebook. That was the social media platform. And he's like, I instead of just turning these loose, I trust you. I know you can handle this client list. I'd rather turn this over to you than to just, turn them loose. And had another fellow last week contact me out of Chicago. Says, yeah, I've been following you on Google Plus. I see some of your content. You write some really good articles on SEO and other digital marketing strategies. And he's like, I see you talking about social media marketing. I think you can help my clients out. Would you be willing to partner with me? So, these are actual real things that have happened to me on social media where people are going out and recommending my service. And, even that, I've had clients recommend me just in general. Like, if you say, hey, if you need a website, contact Molly. She can definitely get the job done. And so I think when you can take your audience, and I do call it that, it's an audience of people that follows you. And when they see a need for your product or service, because they trust you, they're going to publicly recommend you.
Yep, very good. And as we're going along here, I noticed what Kathy Pop had mentioned. She said, relative to these pages that you're describing, don't include it in the menu so it will not be found by people so easily, but search engines can. So that's the ultimate idea behind this page that you're talking about. But the idea, not so much that it won't be found by people, but it's not necessary. If you've got the information on your home page and your about page and your contact page, then that serves the audience who's going to come to your website and view it.
Something I also would add to that is making sure that your robot text file is configured correctly. I see this all the time where people, they're like, what's a robot text file? I have no idea what it is. Okay, well, what it is it's a read-only file that you upload to your root directory, and it tells the search engine how to read your website. So if you have, and I've seen this happen many times before, where people will have, no index, no follow, or they'll have Googlebot command there, or other commands that basically say don't read this page or don't read this website. Make sure you read your robot text file, and as long as you want to share everything on your website, which I would imagine most people would, you want to have an index follow. Those are the commands that you want to have on your robot text file. Something else that's very important that I see people miss out or they let get outdated is your XML sitemap. XML stands for Extensive Markup Language, and what it is, it's another read-only file, but instead of it telling the search engine how to read the website, it actually is a map of your website. And this is super important for a search engine, because remember, we're trying to tell the search engine how to read the website, what's on the website. Here's a map of the website, and the easier we make it for the search engine to know what's on the website, the better search results you're going to get. And that's one thing a lot of people, they add pages, they take them away. And when you do that with your website, you need to make sure and update your XML sitemap, because you don't want a page on there on your sitemap that maybe you've taken down. So that would be another thing to make sure that keep up maintenance on your XML sitemap.
Yes, and so something that we're adding to the list regarding those things. You said the XML sitemap, the robot text TXT file, and also a business-only search engine page that is not visible necessarily in the menu of your website. Karen, did you have something to add?
Yeah, and this is more about community for me in terms of the Google Sniff test. What I also enjoy, and this is something I personally actually think it's very valuable, because it also shows it shows community, and it shows that you care about others, not just about yourself and promoting yourself as your business. But in your pages also, if you do have other companies or businesses or things that you are interested in or you like, that you also include that as a link within your pages, so that it shows to Google that you are not just talking about you, but you are also a resource for other good content.
Absolutely.
Very good advice. That is actually helps build the website, the authority of it. We have something called page authority and domain authority. Domain authority is the trustworthiness of a domain name, and page authority is the trustworthiness of a page. And so if we do create good backlinks, which is what we're talking about here, that actually helps increase the page authority and domain authority. So that was a very excellent point, Karen.
Yeah, because I think that is key when you think about the sites that you visit and that you find that you trust. If they are actually suggesting but recommending or commenting on other sites, then you feel again that this site actually is not just self-promotion; it's about actually helping others.
Okay, so obviously we could spend the rest of this hour talking about nothing but things that you should have in your website, and it could go on all day. But I think that we've covered a lot of the initial things that when you're thinking about building a website, you should keep in the forefront of your mind. So when you're talking to a web designer and talking to a marketer, you're not missing these key elements, and there are more to be found. So you can always find those more things by doing a little bit of research. So I recommend that you do this. But before this hour is up, because we're never going to get to the second stage of what we were planning on. We were planning on talking about mobile apps, and so we're going to have to postpone that to next week, because now I've got the second half of my two questions, and it's not so much questions. It was like more of like a blurted out statement from the standpoint of the smarties here. And now we've talked about what your website should have, and we didn't even get to it all. But now I want to move on to what your website should not have. Yeah, and I'll start with the basics. I'll start with the basics and cover a few things that people are going to go, well, of course, of course. But some people don't know these things. So I'll be really basic here, and then you guys can plug in the gaps of the little chinks in the wall where you see fit. We'll come up with a polished product maybe next year. But right now, the things that we want to concern ourselves with not doing in our websites when we're designing our sites or finding a way to formulate the basic flow and the design and the functionality of our website, don't do these things. And I felt pretty solid about this, before the Smarties was born. So here we go. Don't have a lot of bells and whistles. Don't design your website to flash people into staying around, because they won't. Nowadays, if it's got a lot of bells and whistles and things that you're trying to implement in the site, it's probably going to be very much a distraction. It's like, okay, bells and whistles. One of them is a pop-up contact page, or a pop-up of any kind. To me is, Jesus Christ, don't do the pop-up. So I personally, I feel strongly about the pop-up. I know that you're going to see them all the time. You go to a website because you got, well, this is an interesting article, and you click on and go, and you're starting to get situated with reading the title of the article, and you're flowing along, and then all of a sudden, bang, this huge thing's popping in your face. You wanted to subscribe to my website and my article flow? It's like, no, damn it, get out of my face. I'm trying to read your article. They don't know if they want to follow you or not. So don't put the question before it's valid. So enough on pop-ups. But the bells and whistles, I'm really talking about widgets, and you're stuffing things into your website to make it supposedly look better, or adding a function that is unnecessary. Don't do it. Stick to the business and help people find what they're looking for. So no bells and whistles. The second concept, and I only have 5 in this case, so I'll end very shortly here. The second one is like exactly what the ladies are pinging me in the green room of. Don't use Flash. and don't use moving text, and don't use fancy cursors, like, gee, I'm waving a magic wand instead of a pointer in your website. Don't do it. I did that about 2 decades ago, but not now. And basically, they slow down your loading, they mess up your website, and Flash isn't even viewable, I don't believe, on iOS platforms. So why would you use Flash? Don't use Flash. Flash, moving text, the type of stuff that scrolls across your screen is like, yeah, I want a teletype thing going across my site. Don't do it.
Roland, Google doesn't even support Flash anymore in terms of their app for advertising. If you want to advertise on Google,
Good.
It's banned.
So Google is shaking hands with Apple. What a trip. Okay, I assume that, and I didn't mention it, but absolutely, don't use Flash.
And the other one, your other comment just before, Roland, for the pop-ups, AdWords, again, you can't even do an AdWords ad if you have pop-ups. It won't even be accepted.
Amen, brethren. I love it. So, people will look at that and say, dang it, that's Google again telling me what I can do and what I can't do in my own advertising scheme. Yes. And it's for your benefit, so get used to it and just live with it. Don't use pop-ups. It's a bad idea. Oh, I'm so glad to see that Molly is nodding her head at me. We didn't discuss this ahead of time. Okay. Another one is that everyone's going towards images and videos, but posting images without alt tags and various text captions or something descriptive, a title of your image, but the alt tags are very important, and don't post an image if you're not going to enhance the back end. Because we're all concerned with SEO and stuff, and this is your opportunity to make that image valuable to your SEO. Go ahead, Molly.
I might add, please do not use pixelated images. Pixelated images, just if it's not a good quality picture, just don't use it. Go find something else. There's a lot of different websites out there where you can find really good quality pictures. Do not use pixelated images, please. Sorry, I'm a graphic designer, and that is just one thing that really just gets under my skin. It's like, just don't use pixelated images.
A real quick statement on that. Well, first of all, pixelated images often happens because somebody takes this thing that they found on the internet that's about 200 pixels by 150 tall, and they want to make it span across their website, right? So they make it bigger. Gee, I can change the settings on the width and height and make this image as big as I want to. It's wrong, excuse me, that's false information.
Rule of thumb is you can always take a big picture and make it smaller, but you cannot take a small picture and make it bigger. It will pixelate every time.
Right. And to some degree, you can make some minor difference in changes, and it may not make any difference. But basically, it's a bad strategy. So anyway, don't post images. Don't post bad images. It's kind of like don't advertise your business if your business is not worth engaging with. It's like don't worry about advertising. You should be off the internet. But don't put images up unless you're going to enhance them with some description and alt tags and the places that you can make a difference for your SEO. Okay, the next thing, don't leave your website with bad, dead links. If you have don't. I've never understood this. I've never understood this because a website with a bad link is like, well, fix the link. What's the deal?
Well, it also shows that you don't care. Right? I mean, if you have a bad link and there's a multiple of them, it shows that, maybe, it's an impression of what people think of you in terms of your business. If you don't care about that, why would I want to do business with you?
Well, let's face it, you wouldn't build your house on a cliff and make the back door off the edge, right? Why would you do that? So don't have a link to nowhere. Oh, my goodness. I mean,
I would just quickly add to that, Google has a tool for that. It's called Search Console. It used to be called Google Webmasters. It is an invaluable tool because it will produce any errors that you have on your website, meaning these 404s, page not found, that's what we're talking about here. There is a whole library of different errors. I'm not going to go over them. That actually would actually be a good hangout to go over all the different errors that can be produced on a website. But Search Console, it's constantly monitoring your website once you've got it verified with Google. And then if you do have any 404s, any redirect errors or server internal page errors or server errors, it's going to produce these errors within Search Console, and then you can address it at that time. It's fairly simple to get signed up. You can go fetch your website from Search Console, meaning it'll instead of waiting for Google to index it, it will stop, go fetch your website, it'll review all your pages and produce any errors that might have. What we're talking about are soft 404s, and those are relatively easy to clean up. Now, I had a client one time, and this is a true story. He sold health products, and I did a review of his website. He literally had thousands of 404 errors on his website. And I told him, I said, you know what? For the amount of time and money it's going to cost for me to go clean up all of these 404s, you would be much better suited just to scrap what you have and just start over. It was that bad. So I definitely agree with your advice. Manage your 404s, your soft 404s, any errors that you get on your website. And if you're not sure how to do it, find a webmaster who's familiar with Search Console, and they'll be able to help you out.
I like it what Melanie says here. No link graveyards. Amen. So, she has a way of putting it in very succinct language, and I love it. And this is something Misty Lynn makes a comment relative to pop-ups. She says, I tried to pop up on my website, and after a while it drove me nuts. It didn't last long. So I understand. Managing a pop-up is one thing, but guess what? It's not helping your business, and it's you think that you're jumping on the funnel concept and getting people to opt in, but they're not going to opt in until they like you, until they want to be there, until you're worth following, and so forth. So why are you asking people to subscribe? The thing to do is ask them to read your stuff. And then after a while, they're going to want to subscribe. You can make it easy to subscribe, yes, but don't ask them before they even know who you are. That's the most irritating thing on the market. And like a lot of people are going to get smart about this, and halfway through this year, they're going to go, oh, I've got some really good advice for you. Don't use pop-ups. Okay, well, we've been shouting about it for a year and a half now. So hopefully it'll catch on.
One thing I would add, Roland, it would be website counters. Those little website counters that people used to use a long time ago. Don't use website counters anymore. You have Google Analytics. It's real simple to install. It does all the work for you. So I would say no more website counters.
Well, I think that there's a misnomer linked to this, because I haven't used them for a couple of years myself. Even when people beg me for them, I don't put them in their sites. Or I usually edit out that client from my repertoire before I have to build the site. But basically, a website counter, people think, oh, gee, if I get like 1,000 people who've been here, or 2,000 people, or 3,000, then people are going to look at that and say, oh, this person has had thousands of people come to their site. And it's like, it's the biggest lie, because the counters, first of all, can start at any number you want. So you can build a website and tomorrow put it up with 20,000 hits. I mean, you can lie. The counter will start the count anywhere you want to. And basically, people were putting it up so that the people would not think, oh, I'm the first one to come to this website. Well, the bottom line is, make your site valuable with content, and don't put the counter up. Don't be idiotic.
I would actually add to that with Google Analytics, it can do so much more than just count who's been to your website. It can track demographics. It can track where people are visiting in the world. You can create goals, funnels, and it can track conversions. It can track social. If you have a social media marketing campaign going, if you've got an hours campaign, you can bring that into Google Analytics. There's so much data that you can get from Analytics versus just having a simple website counter. And I might add, the data is relevant to the website, meaning you can actually assess what the data is telling you, and then improve upon it. Like maybe you're running a social campaign and you're not getting a lot of hits on Twitter. Well, there might be a reason for that. Or maybe you're running an hours campaign and one of your campaigns isn't doing as good as the other one. Well, then you know, hey, I need to go tweak this. So it can actually give you some really good insights.
Very good. And so, okay, now I'm stepping off that shelf onto my last one. And this is, I'm just kind of hop, skipping, and jumping because I have a plan of a few things that I want to mention in the show, and I hardly ever complete them. Like, for instance, we're going to have to do another show for mobile apps. Okay, so I'm over it, I'm over it, I'm over it. But in the meantime, this is something that I feel strongly about that you shouldn't do in your website. And it's not universal, so I'm really kind of wondering what your reaction, Karen and Molly, might be. But these websites that were encyclopedias of our services at one point in time, those days are gone. And especially with the mobile movement, everything is about what is the main focus of what the main thing is that you offer to people that is going to help them or that they're going to search for, and focus your website on that. I mean, I've known the keyword concept has been for several years now. Focus on 1, 2, maybe 3 keywords. You're not going to keep it a lot of keywords, and how many things that we can possibly attract people for from anywhere on the internet for any concept that has anything to do with me. I got to have that keyword in my website. No, that hasn't been around for a good long time, almost a decade. So if you're thinking of infusing more keywords in your website, you're a decade old. I mean, you are so far behind the concept that you're gonna destroy your own self online. You're gonna self-destruct. But the concept is, people nowadays, they go, oh, well, I do this and I do this and I do this, so I'm going to put the website up. How can I add this to my list? And I'll have a separate page, and then I have to do a different thing, and then they end up with 2 or 3 calls to action on the same page because they want people to opt into everything they do. No. So don't list all your products and services on the website. Take a focus and get on to the main thing that people are going to need you for. And don't worry about the little sidecars of, yeah, but I also do this, and I also do this, and I also do this, and I got to make money on all those things. Focus on the main thing that will make your money and make your website work. What do you think, ladies?
I think you're on track with this. A lot of people think the more content they have on their website, oh, I've got 150 pages. It's not about that anymore. It's really about drawing that person in, meaning giving them just enough information where they're interested to where maybe they'll fill out a contact form, or they'll pick up the phone, or they'll send you a text, or they'll send you an email to learn more. And then that's where the selling begins. The website is a funnel, okay? The website's a funnel to draw that person into your business. You as the business owner, you're the person selling the business. So that's not the job of the website. The function of the website is like a billboard. I tell people like this all the time. Your website's like a billboard on the internet. And imagine you're traveling down the highway and you see this billboard for beauty supplies. And it interests you. Oh, beauty supplies. Oh, I know I'm out of whatever. And then that person goes, oh, I need to call that number. I need to email that person. So that is primarily the same psychology that we want for people who have websites, business owners who have websites. Is we just want them to use the website as a funnel so that a person picks up a phone, sends an email, sends a text, fills out a contact form, so the business owner or the customer service rep or whoever you have manning the traffic from the website, they can contact that person, and again, the engagement factor happens. And then when the engagement factor happens, that's when the business owner has the opportunity, or the customer service rep or whoever you have manning the phone or the checking the email, that's when the selling begins. So I would say, and again, this goes back to statistics, most people are not going to spend more than 3 seconds initially looking at your website. And if your website does not have some type of interesting content on it within that first 3 seconds, they're gone. In fact, a lot of shoppers will look at 12 different competitors of yours before they make that decision to buy. But in return, in terms of a website, you've got to make it short, sweet, and to the point. You don't want to bombard people with a lot of content.
Okay, Karen, you had something to add?
Yeah, I actually was going to say what Molly said, but I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, think of what you do and what you see, and it is, I mean, to me, it's even less than 3 seconds now in terms of what you see, and it's about images and it's about content, but the content has to be so succinct and to the point because you're looking at whether you're looking at it from your desktop, your tablet, or your phone. People don't have the time to read anymore. I mean, it's basically to me we are in a very visual world now, and if you can't tell your message visually, you're not going to get your message across.
Absolutely. And
I agree.
one of the things to add to this is the message can't be the encyclopedia of
Yeah.
your services. It's got to be narrowed down to how you benefit the people and focus on that one thing and become the preacher from your own concept of like
Hmm.
this is the salvation. This is the one thing that you need to know about me. I give this to you and it's available to you. And furthermore, you could put your prices on it, but don't have a list of all your stuff with all your prices. Give them an idea of what you might cost relative to a couple things, and you can leave all the extemporaneous. If you added all my services together, this is the ultimate supreme platinum package, and get people to buy that upper echelon thing. Get them interested in something that
So you
actually gets them to buy.
are you suggesting, Roland, to actually list your prices on your website, or are you
Now
are
let's
you saying?
qualify that. Yes, I think, well, and it always depends upon the service and the people. Sometimes they want to know immediately, yep, that's what I want. What's the price? And then you have to put the price. But in the case of internet marketing, every single package is different. But I can list an idea on the very base level. This is
Mhm.
how much I charge for a video. Or on the very base level, if you have a 5 to 7 page site, this is approximately how much it's going to cost. And that kind of weeds out the people to know, well, I think I can afford him, or no, that's not my ballpark. And I'm glad to weed out the people who feel that way, because if I can't help somebody for the price that they're willing to pay, I'm okay with that, you know. But we have to give
Mhm.
them an idea of what our value is in dollars and cents if we offer a service in dollar or product in dollars and cents, so that people can get an idea of how much you are. Then they might read on further to find out, well, why is he of value in this respect, or what maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Why does he think he is of so much value? Go ahead, Molly. We'll wrap it up right
Yeah,
after
I
this.
just really quick. I know we're over, so I just wanted to throw this out there. Something you might consider as a business owner is when you are on your about page or you create an about page, that you create a section for yourself, meaning so people can get to know who you are. Like you can include your favorite TV show, your favorite book, your favorite color, just things relevant to you that people are going to learn, so that they learn you as a business, but they learn you as a person too. So I would leave that last tip for business owners to just tell your audience a little bit about yourself.
That's what the about page is for, right? So, okay, we're way over time and we're running on, and we could probably continue. We never got to the second half of my projected content for the show. But that's okay. If you want to know if your website or your web presence passes the Google Sniff test, in other words, are you worthy of being on page one of Google, and should Google consider putting your content on page one? If you want to know whether your website or web presence passes the Google Sniff test, watch this show a couple of times. So I'm saying goodbye for now from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Thank you everybody for being there and just prolifically posting in the comment stream. I appreciate everyone being here. Thank you very much, and thank you my co-hosts for contributing such a wealth of knowledge. Thanks a lot, and good day from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties.